Hello, amazing people, and thank you so much for tuning into this channel. My name is Bright. If you're new to the channel, you are welcome. Today, we are checking out Douglas Murray on channel 4. Let's do this.
Well, I'm joined now by the radical cleric Anjem Chowdhury, one of the founders of the controversial Islamist organisation Al-Muhajirun, and by Julie Siddiqui from the Islamic Society of Britain. Also joining us from Amsterdam is Douglas Murray from the Henry Jackson Society. And before we talk to all of them, we've unearthed footage tonight which shows one of the alleged terrorists, Michael Adebayo, at a protest by the now banned group Al-Muhajirun in 2007 outside Paddington Green Police Station in London. Anjem Chowdhury was also on the march. So, one of the suspects attended your marches, listened to your lectures. You therefore helped radicalise him. Will you apologise for what's happened down in Woolwich?
I'm not going to apologise for exposing the crimes of the British government in Iraq or Afghanistan.
That's not the question I asked. You helped radicalise
let me answer the question
suspect.
in my way. Radicalisation is a stick which is used to beat the Muslim community. The fact is that there is conflation between exposing the British foreign policy, between things like rendition, Guantanamo Bay, killing innocent men, women and children, which I have no apology for whatsoever.
But
and we will continue to expose.
You helped radicalise the suspect, and now a British soldier is dead on the
allowing me
Woolwich
to answer the question the way that I want to.
The question I'm asking is, you helped radicalise him
let me just tell you something.
because you were there with him on these marches. Will you apologise?
Radicalisation is calling for the Sharia nowadays. Radicalisation is exposing the British government. Radicalisation is commanding good, forbidding evil. We say, and we've always said, that we live here under a covenant of security. It's not allowed to target innocent people in return for our life and work being secure. And we've said that over the years. But the fact is the biggest radicalising factor is the British government and their foreign policy.
But radicalisation is also about justifying violence, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Will you take some responsibility for what has happened on the streets of Woolwich?
Pejorative like radicalisation, fundamentalism, extremism is used by the British government to silence a section of the community which expose their own policies. There's something called Islam. Islam calls for the Sharia. Islam says that people have a right to defend themselves. And that's what we propagate. We don't propagate something outside of Islam.
Douglas Murray, how should the government respond to the kind of things that Anjem Chowdhury is saying there?
Well, it's very difficult in a way for the government because Al-Muhajirun and its offshoots have already been banned. Its offshoots have been banned for many years. And this group, of course, and its activities predate 9/11. And I think it's very important to remember that Amer Mirza was convicted, first a member of Al-Muhajirun, was convicted in 1998 for his attempt to firebomb a British Army barracks. There have been a spate of attacks. We've worked out that about 20% actually of convictions, of Al-Qaeda-related terror convictions in this country, have a linkage with Al-Muhajirun and with Mr. Chowdhury.
OK, Douglas, let me put that point direct to Anjem Chowdhury. I mean, that's quite an astonishing figure. I mean, you take some responsibility for that, don't you?
No, not at all. I think that you need to make a distinction between legitimate political and ideological struggle, which we have been doing for about 15 or 20 years in this country. You know, I've never been arrested. I've never been arrested for organising any terrorist activities, any kind of military bases or anything like that. And the reality is that people we come across, we have a huge number of demonstrations and processions and activities. And of course, we come across many people. People may leave our own activities and do things outside of that. And we're not going to be accountable for that.
But there is nothing legitimate about radicalising Richard Dart, who plotted to bomb Wootton Bassett. How many jihadists have you? How many jihadists have you influenced? How many people have they killed?
Richard Dart was in prison for 9 or 10 months. He faced a choice between having about 20 years in prison or taking a plea bargain. He made a couple of phone calls. He typed a few things on a computer.
Wait.
The fact that he was forced to plead guilty doesn't mean that he was planning anything at all.
In court, you radicalised him. It was said in court that you radicalised Richard Dart.
Please.
How many jihadists would you say you radicalised?
For the British government and their own media wing, radicalisation is calling for the Sharia. Radicalisation is exposing their murderers in Muslim countries. Radicalisation is saying that we want the Sharia. The fact is that, you know, these kind of terms are used to demonise the Muslims and to justify your foreign policy.
OK, Julie Siddiqui, let me bring you in. What's your response to what you've heard there?
Well, I just want to first of all give my condolences and thoughts to the family, friends and the people of Woolwich, really, the family and friends of Lee Rigby. Of course, today we're seeing the face to a name, really, and it makes it even more horrific and very, very sad what we saw on our streets unfolding yesterday. You know, I think really all of us, any decent people in this country, will realise that this kind of rhetoric has no place whatsoever in this country. You know, what we saw yesterday and what we're seeing with the likes of the English Defence League, you know, for me, in both ends, they are trying to divide this country in a way that we won't stand for. You know, the good hundreds and thousands of good people in this country, you know, al-Muhajirun and any of his offshoots have always only ever had tens of people, not hundreds, not thousands. You know, so really representing a very, very small number of people in this country.
And you mentioned the EDL there. I mean, there have been some mosques targeted by the far right. Do you think Muslims, mainstream Muslims, are fearful today?
I mean, I think Muslims do feel vulnerable today. And, you know, some mosques were attacked yesterday and we're hearing all sorts of other stories coming through. And, of course, we have to all remain calm and measured to make sure that these things don't escalate any further, because that's obviously something that we don't want to see in this country either. So I think Muslims do feel vulnerable today. But I think the overwhelming majority of Muslim organisations and individuals have come out in full force today to absolutely condemn and say that this kind of action has no place whatsoever in this country.
Douglas Murray, David Cameron said that these attacks will bring people together. Are we not terror-struck as a country?
No, I don't think so at all. I'm not terror-struck. You're not terror-struck. Almost none of the British nation, I should think, is terror-struck. What we are is united in disgust, Muslims and non-Muslims. You know, it's extraordinary, really, for most of us, because we've all witnessed Mr. Chowdhury and his group for many years trying to provoke the British people. He's got on his record not only these huge swathes of people that he has helped to radicalise, but of course he's also created the English Defence League, an incredible double whammy achievement for one individual. But you know, one of the things that's most interesting in this is the continual provocation of Mr. Chowdhury does not persuade and will not persuade most of us to believe that most Muslims are like Mr. Chowdhury. They are not. Most Muslims in this country are utterly disgusted by him and his actions. And the important thing to remember for non-Muslims is not to be provoked by Mr. Chowdhury, not even when he says, as he did earlier this year, that his £25,000 a year that he gets in benefits from the British state is what he calls jihad seekers allowance. If I may make one point.
Okay.
Mr. Chowdhury was almost certainly better paid than drummer Rigby. That fact is something that we should mull on and, I would suggest, sort out swiftly.
Anjem Chowdhury, I mean, these suspects viewed the soldiers generally, as legitimate targets. Do you?
Well, let me just say, first of all, that Douglas Murray...
Wait a second.
Douglas Murray is talking rubbish. I'm not getting 25k a year.
We'll leave
I'm
that
not
aside.
on JSA for your information.
Leave
Check
that
your
aside.
facts.
Yeah, we'll
and she's wrong as well. We don't have 10 or 100 members.
Okay,
we have many.
right.
But the point
These
is,
suspects
soldiers who are fighting in Afghanistan, obviously the people have the right to defend themselves. So what we say in Britain is that we have a covenant of security. In return for our life and wealth being protected, it is not allowed for Muslims to target the life and the wealth of the people with whom we live. But I tell you something.
Okay.
The people who are oppressing the Muslims is the British government. The people who are banning ideological and political struggle are the British government. They don't allow people to express
themselves.
Anjem
Chowdhury, you've had your time. You've had your say. Thank you very much. We have to move on now.
Wow, that was a very heated argument right there. That was a very heated argument between the journalist, between Anjem Chowdhury and Douglas Murray. That was a very heated one. And I must say, these things are so disheartening, and I think shouldn't be worth talking about right now, in the sense that it is so absurd, so to say. But all I can say is, right here, I don't really know the issue between the British and the Islamic people, the Islamic residents of Britain, of Britain in general. But I do think that they are not getting it right. Actually, they're not getting it right, because there are certain, from the interview right here, there are certain revelations and certain things that actually came out. We actually got to know that Angem actually was saying that he was being, the 25,000 pounds he was being paid was nothing. Of course, I don't know, but for me, I think 25,000 pounds is a huge one. That shouldn't be, that someone shouldn't actually be talking about or calling small, so to say, because for the people of Britain to be actually paying you that amount, that means they value you. That means you are, part of them. You are also, valued. You are not like, you're not, um, you know, kept aside or something. But I do not know why, or I do not know his actual, reason for, saying what he's saying. A lot has been going on, actually. A lot has been going on. A lot of accusations back and forth, saying that Angem actually sponsors, some killings and all that. It is so disheartening, and it pains me a lot to see that, you know people, lose their lives on a daily basis due to this, what I say, misunderstanding, due to this, values, this issue of Islamic values going on between the Islams and, Britain in general. It is so disheartening. Now, right now, I can't actually lay my hands on the fact that, okay, this is this and this is that, all right, that Britons are the one responsible, or Islams are actually the ones, doing this. But he is trying to let us know that, they are fighting for their rights and all that. But all I want to say is, I think it is so disheartening. This is not good. In general, it is not good. You know, a lot of accusations has been going on. The killing of innocent children. A whole lot. And this man right here, Angem, actually has a bad record. Okay, he has been banned according to I think according to Douglas, he has been banned before. A whole lot has been going on. I think we should actually look into these things. Look for a way to curtail these things from happening. So this has come to the very end of the reaction for today. If you actually love this reactions, or actually want to see or hear more, please be sure you subscribe to the channel, and also leave your suggestions in the comment. Let me know what you think about this debate, what you think about this heated argument between, Douglas, between the host and the Islamic man right here. Let me know what you think, and air your own opinions and your own thoughts about this. I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.